Hello and welcome everyone. Hello Anton, hello Green Fork. My usual introduction. I'm a software developer. I'm under Tropin and I contribute to guix and RD projects. Also sometimes stream on various topics like guix, emacs and something dev related. On this stream series we talk about development tools and practices, about free and open source software, and how to make a sustainable and ethical business out of it. Also do some usual stuff, usual tasks like code review, maintenance, project maintenance, and development. On previous stream we discussed short feedback loops, why they are important, and why in many cases you would like to shorten your feedback loop. Also, we talked about OBS, its crashes, and we patched Qt 5 Wayland library and fixed crashes of OBS. So this time it should work good and without crashes. I hope so. At least yesterday I did a test stream and OBS worked for 3 hours in a row and nothing bad happened. So today we talk about persisting our results, and after that we'll try to make some good tools for testing guile projects and especially RT project. We will explore some libraries for testing guile code and maybe write some helpers or snippets of code which we will use later for writing and executing tests. Okay, a small theoretical note or just a bunch of my thoughts. Let's start from getting the results. When we want to provide some value, we need to figure out how to make this value and also how to persist our results. So it's quite simple and obvious, but not always trivial. First of all, why we need to persist something. For example, you want to make some poor person to be richer and give him money and walk away. And if after you some robber come to this person and take this money back, or for some other reason, your result, the action of your the result of your action not persisted, the poor person doesn't become richer. That's why you need to ensure that everything you do, or at least part of it, persisted in some way. And another question is what is value and how to make value. What is value is hard question, and it's not always easy to measure it, but let's talk in more abstract terms, and let's say we know what is value, so let's answer another question, how to make it. I see two primary ways to make values. First one is to do some almost random actions and hope that it provides some value. If you can measure it, it's easy to assess if you got it or not, but you just try something and see if you succeed or not. And another way is get something that already provides value and improve it. Do some small steps, and every step will increase the value provided by this thing. And another question, which way is better? There is no simple answer to this question, and usually it's not one over another. It's kind of a mix of both of them. And with time, you usually shift from the first option to another option, from exploration to more routine, from luck to skill. And it leads to consistency and predictability of your actions. You know that if yesterday I did a small change and it provided some amount of value, and today I did nearly the same and got nearly the same amount of value, you can extrapolate how good you will work in the future. And first option, like doing random actions, is almost like playing lottery sometimes. If you rely only on this option, in long term you will lose, because maybe you even win sometime in the lottery, but after that you spend all the money and get back to the situation where you don't have much, and also you don't know how to get something, and luck don't work anymore for you. So I would say in this case it's not a very reliable option, but it's good for exploring things, of course. What we really care about, we care about the second option, getting a small amount of value but consistently. And I will show you some numbers. Let's imagine we have 100 of value, and we have a small amount of additional value every day, and its value will be a 1% of the whole thing that we have every day. And if we can get 1% daily for the year, we will get from 100 3,000, almost 4,000. And if we get 2% of the value every day, we will get almost 140,000, and 3% will give us almost 5 millions of a value, when we originally had only 100, which sounds very interesting, because getting not so big results but every day provides us a huge benefits in the long term. Of course, you can't get the same results every day, the same amount of increase of the value every day. Sometimes you get decreases, sometimes you almost don't get any additional value, but overall the idea is following, that if you consistently improve your project, improve your life, improve your habits by a small amount every day for the long period of time, you get a huge benefits at the end. So the same is for providing value. If you provide a little value, but do it consistently, and the result is persistent, so you provide a lot of value in the long term. And it's really nice to start with something very widespread, very novel, very valuable, and so on. So it's easy to get immediate results and immediate value from it. But it's actually doesn't matter in the long term. If you started from something really valuable, or you started from less valuable and make it valuable, if you are consistent, you will get great results. And in most cases in our life, many of the processes are continuous, and the value we get from them is accumulative. Our good habits provide a better health, a better mood, and more wealth or happiness. Bad habits radically decrease our life quality, decrease our mood, and so on. Not all the aspects of life require persistence, but many of them. And to grow as a person, to grow as a project or a business, I think it is important to be very consistent and persistent at the same time. Okay, we talked about getting results, but how to persist those results. First idea is to make it easily repeatable. For example, if I have a project, RD, I can make it reproducible. It's already reproducible, so everyone can benefit from what is already done in the project. And it's organized in such a way that many people can work on it simultaneously, add some features and review code and do other kind of activities. So every time adding a small value to this project is easy, and it's easy to persist the benefit from this addition. On the other hand, when I had a .files repo, this .files repo was interesting only to me and maybe one of my friends and one random stranger, and that's it. Because there some ideas was captured in this repository, but it was not much practical use for people outside. But when you do something very reproducible and also scalable, it gives a lot of benefits to other people. And of course, you need to prevent regressions. For example, at the beginning of the talk, I made an example about a pure person. You give money to pure person, and someone takes this money from this person, and the person get to the previous state, and this is a regression. You try to provide value, but you don't the value not persisted, so you actually did not so much to the world. You didn't improve it. And if you reduce this regression, you provide, for example, some money to the pure person, you teach him how to manage this money, and he can buy food and also maybe invest this money or to do something else to continue getting more value from it. And that's pretty much it about getting and persisting results. I hope the idea is clear, and I can demonstrate a few more examples. For example, streaming. Right now I do streams every working day, and I decreased the feedback loop so I can iterate easily, um, and it provides me ability to improve much faster. But it was the topic for the previous talk, shortening feedback loop. Today we talk about getting the results and persisting them. You saw that I had problems with OBS, which was crashing, and also I didn't have chat overlay, which we implemented on the first stream, and so on. And you saw that I improved a little the streaming setup during the course of those days, and it became more robust, more featureful, and more valuable. And the actions was quite small, but each of those actions are persisted in some way. Some of them partially persisted. For example, chat overlay is done using some bash scripts, which are not version controlled or shared or even cleaned up, but they still exist on my laptop drive, and I can reuse them from stream to stream. We fixed Qt 5 Wayland library, and now OBS don't crash. And we actually persisted this solution in guix repository, so much more people can benefit from it. And continue to do the same small steps, improving every day. We can get a lot of value by the course of a few dozens of days, or maybe a little more. Okay, let's finish with abstract talks. You can support my work and streams by following me on Mastodon or PeerTube, or maybe YouTube. I will appreciate it very much, and thank you for all your comments, nice words. It's always a pleasure to get emails from you, and I reply almost all of them quite fast, because I don't have a lot of emails in my inbox right now, so it's quite easy for me, and also it brings me a lot of pleasure. Thank you very much. Let's go to more technical and practical topic, and let's talk about tests. Greenfork said that I think your sound level on the stream might be too low relatively to other videos I watch. On full volume, I sometimes have troubles hearing you because of my background noise. I increased a few decibels on my microphone volume, so it should be better. But let me know if it's not enough yet. I think it should be just okay at the moment, but anyway, let me know if it became better or I need to increase it a little more. Tests. What tests provide for projects? First of all, it obviously makes a feedback loop later, but shorter by automating the process of testing. You describe your test case, you describe your expected outputs from the function, and after that you can repeatedly rerun this test each time you modify the code which should implement this functionality. And of course, by making this feedback loop shorter, it allows to work faster and more productively. Test-driven development is not the only way to decrease, to shorten this feedback loop, but I think one of the easiest and profitable. Also, it improves quality of your code, because you write down all test cases, all the conditions, and you can see what results your function provides, and you're sure that every time you modify it, or someone modified the code, the function still provide the expected results. Also, it gives you a confidence that the quality of this function is still the same. Because if you do it more interactively, like you editing the code, evaluating some parts, some expressions, and see the result of the function, and see that it matches your expectation, it's very nice. But you found the bug, you fixed the bug, but introduced another one. And if you don't persist your test cases in, for example, form of tests, you can be confident that you didn't broke something by fixing or even modifying something somehow your code. So tests is also about persisting your results, and of course it prevents the regression in the future. You can modify your code much more freely, and don't be afraid that something that previously worked correctly now doesn't work. So tests are nice. They're not necessary, especially at the beginning of the project, but the bigger the project becomes, the more beneficial it to have some automated tests. I think that RD project is already quite big, and having tests for at least some parts of it will be really nice and profitable in long term. Let's write some tests, or maybe some tools for running those tests. Good morning, Demis. I will start a fresh Emacs instance to show you the whole process that I usually do to start my development environment. Test tmp scm, and I will open eShell, but let's go to examples directory, which contains pre-inst env script, which sets a few load passes. Okay, maybe for now I don't need examples directory. I will use pre-inst env from root directory of the project, and I will add tests directory to it, to the guy load pass. So when I start a REPL, I will get tests loaded as well. Actually, I will use a script from examples directory, and I will explain the reason why. Here I will also add a tests directory to the load path. The reason is that here I have guix binary, which contains the version, another version of the guix than my system one, and I will use it. Actually, I can use it from the root directory, but I will need to specify it more verbosely, like this, like examples, target, profiles, guix, bin guix, shell, listen, TCP 36 something, don't remember the exact port, 37146, like this. And I will connect to it using Geyser. It's not shell, it's REPL. Okay. I connected to it from Geyser, and now I can evaluate code and see the results immediately. Let's have set up like this, I guess. I have some drafts here. And also a few more files here, like init tests. And let's explore what we already have and reorganize the code to make it easier to maintain, develop, commit, and so on. Also, let me know if something I talked at the beginning not very interesting for you, or maybe too boring or too cumbersome. Do you like it, or do you prefer me to start programming from the beginning? It's actually will make it more entertaining for you, I guess, and maybe even less expensive for me to prepare. So any feedback is very welcome. Please let me know. Here I have RD serializer's init test model. It mimics the structure of RD models, but each model has minus test at the end, which prevents model's name clashes. And I have only one use model here, which imports SRFI64, which is library for testing scheme code. Here the definition of just a test runner, which I instantiate here. And after that, this code will be evaluated by this test runner. Okay, probably I don't need this window. You can see that after I evaluated the model, init test model, I got some kind of report here. It's just basic output of this test runner, which shows the status of the test, passed or failed, and if it failed, it shows the exact line and expected and obtained value. I can click on it, and I went straight to the test case, which failed. And the same for this one. Very good. It's actually already quite nice functionality. And it's already usable, I guess. Let's open the documentation for SRFI64. Okay, basically it says it says that it's just an API for writing test suites, which should work across different schema implementations. I already skimmed through this document, but just skimmed, didn't read it with enough attention. What does ters mean? Okay, we have some kind of API here, which should be portable across different schema implementations. All the functions and macros starts prefixed with test minus. and part of them is implemented as macros to make it possible to disable few of them if you want, and to prevent evaluation of some test cases. Okay, basic test suite looks like just a bunch of asserts. And those asserts will be evaluated in the context of test runner. So we need to specify test runner somehow. And test runner basically a program which provides a report with test results. Okay, let's see what we have here. Here we have just a few assertions. Test assert probably takes an expression and checks if it's true or false. If the result is false, a test consider it failed. Also, there is optional test name, so it's easier to navigate through test report. Test equal and eq is just assert which compares the equality of two values. Test approximate is for float or double values, for comparing them with some precision. Okay, test error is good for catching exceptions. test read eval string is kinda unusual thing. It's just a helper which allows to evaluate the code provided in the form of string. I don't know how useful it is, especially if you can use eval, just eval and read. But okay, a test group. Okay, we have test groups which allows to combine a few test cases. Also, they can be nested. Let's try. Let's try. Probably it. Test begin nested group. Test and nested group. Oh. We made a nested group, but let's see if you can understand it inside test runner that the group is nested. And let's make another test case outside of this test group. Okay, we have a test runner on group begin, and probably we also have a test runner on group end. Here. Okay, it accepts only runner. And it would fail. The problem with custom test runners is probably how I register them. I register them with test runner factory, and now I registered incorrect test runner, and probably I need to remove somehow all of them. Test runner reset. Oops. How's this thing supposed to work? Geyser model. $64. We have a simple solution right now. The simple solution will be to just restart the REPL. Oops. And let's go this way. And re-evaluate the test runner. Okay, now we see that test runner has a test runner on group end and handles it somehow. And it has test runner group pass. Am I right? Not sure. Group pass. Okay, just reverse of group stack. Works for me. Let's evaluate it. And we see that we can understand when we go out of nested test group. Actually, I didn't explain how we wrote this test runner at all. But let's get to back it a little later. We're just exploring the possibilities of srf64. Let's get back to reading. Okay, this group should be string. Because it's not always convenient to use symbols for test case names, especially if they contain some white spaces and so on. I don't know if all schema implementations support special syntax for symbols which can contain white spaces and so on. But anyway, the test group name is a string. We can have nested test groups, and let's explore what we have here. We have test runner, and inside this test runner we can just take it. On grow begin we don't know yet the whole grow path. Interesting. Let's see again what we have inside runner. Don't like that default format is not pretty printing records. I don't know if there's a pretty printer for records in Guile built in somehow. It's actually not convenient to read such output. I'm not sure if ICE9 pretty print does it. But let's check it. Whoa. Unfortunately, ICE9 pretty print doesn't read records better than built-in one. Okay, maybe let's take a look at guix model for pretty printing. Pretty print with comments. I would say it's a good function to start with. Okay, use models guix read, how it called, read print. and pretty print. Let's evaluate this form. Pretty print with comments. Port current output port and runner. Let's see. It seems exactly the same. Do someone knows how to pretty print records in Guile? It will be really helpful because it's really hard to read these one-liners. Okay, Haskell is not exactly what we're looking for. Okay, I will take a small break and we'll be back in a minute or a few. Okay, I'm back. Okay, I think we can write it down in the notes. How to write records. How to print records. So we can later come back to this question and explore it. The hard thing about computer science and engineering related tasks is not to dive too deep to fix all the things on your way, because it's usually really tempting to rewrite the operating system to make a better CPU and to refine your hardware to solve tasks easily and more elegant. But sometimes we need to do with the resources we already have. Okay. If the matching test begin. Let's try what happens if I try to test end from non-existing group. Oh, interesting. Test equal latest test case. It seems that it doesn't matter what I write in test end statement. I can just do this, and it works perfectly well. Okay, good. What else we can do? We can try to do this trick. Let's say, okay, let's disable it for a while. Pam pam pam. Pam pam. Nice. Very nice, but if we switch, actually it seems like test end just ignores what we have here. Group ends here. The output is interesting. Let's redefine test runner group pass. It accepts runner. It takes test runner group stack, reverse it, and let's reduce lamp accumulate value and pass element. Cons acc can we do it like this? Whoa, what is happening here? Okay, I got it. Every time I reevaluate namespace, the amount of groups increases because we don't end all the groups here. And it seems that the argument to test end is just for humans. To be able to understand which test related to which group. Probably this test group, I guess it's syntax, which helps to prevent test begins and test ends. Additionally, if the matching test begin installed in new test runner, then the test end will deinstall it. After reporting the accumulated test results in an implementation defined manner. Interesting. If suite name doesn't match the current test group, it should fail, but it doesn't. It's very strange. We can manually geyser jump to debug nil. Good. Source f group ends after all groups ended. Test runner not initialized. Test begin missing. Okay. Good. We probably found a bug. Test end should report if test suite argument doesn't match current group, but it doesn't. Yo, chat. Today not so much messages. Just let me know that you're still alive. Fault. Yo, you don't have any faults anymore. Why you complain? Okay, okay. It's interesting how test runner get set for the model. I'm not sure yet, and we need to actually explore it because it's probably one of the most important things about test runners is how to set some test runner. So we can do it, for example, from emacs without re-implementing test runner for each project or each model of the project, but having one for all the projects and just use it to run the test written in the file. Okay, let's try it again. Everything works. What current test runner is? It false. Cool. It seems that we launched a test runner factory. And test runner current is still empty. But after that, let's do define unwrap okay. Test begin signaled us that we are inside test group, and test runner is actually returns something right now. Now we call test end. It shows group ends. It prints the runner. Why do you do it? Oh, okay. It returned a test runner when I evaluated last test end. It returned a test runner object and make some noise by outputting test results. Good. And test runner current is false again. Okay, we see that calling test runner factory and calling test begin. If we test begin one more time, it should set test runner again. Okay. Test end. Test runner not initialized. Test begin missing. Good. What I see here, test runner factory sets the test runner which will be used. Test begin instantiates this test runner object, and test ends makes this object unset from current test runner. Let's see how it's implemented. Current. Okay. Current test runner. Test runner current. Make parameter f. Test runner factory. Okay, default value of test runner factory is test runner simple. Good. Now we know that default value of test runner current is false. We have test runner get save our wrapper to test runner current. Okay, just a wrapper throwing an exception. Test runner create calls test runner factory. Test runner factory is a parameter, so we need to call it twice. Like, first call will return a parameter value, the second call will call the actual test runner factory. Okay, that means that test runner itself probably sets current test runner. Yes, no, don't know. Current. Okay, we found that test runner function accepts the runner, or test runner reset function accepts the runner and set all the values to 0 or empty lists or something else. And we can have test begin, test case, and now if we take a look at test runner current, we will see pass count equal to 1 and a lot of other values, but we can do test runner current, boom, and now we have pass count equal to 0 and so on. Everything related to the current test runner got resets to default values. Very nice. But it's still okay. We have current test runner, test begin, test end, pass 0, fail 0, source F. Current test runner is reset to false. Okay, okay. Interesting. Okay, we know how to manipulate test record itself a little. Test runner record. Let's see how test runner current is set up. If not test runner current, test runner create is called. And test runner create is just basically returns test runner factory. That's it. Test runner current. Okay, and it sets up a hook on test runner on final to reset test runner current to false again. See, here we see some internal logic, which, for example, defines how group stack works and count list and how skipped, failed are getting saved. Okay. Hi, Andres. Nice to see you here. And nice to know that you're still listening. For many of you, it's probably the beginning of the day, like 9 or 10 a.m. in the morning. Am I right? Because it's almost 2 p.m. for me. Okay, let's see what test group gives us. Okay, test group should make it easier to write tests, because I won't need manually close each test group. Let's try to do it. Let's take test group, new test group, and do something like this. Very interesting. Test group accepts suite name, we have it, new test group, and declaration or expression. Or actually few of them. This is usually equivalent to executing the declaration or expressions within the named test group. and of course this condition for skip the whole test group. It's very interesting, but why it doesn't work? Let's evaluate it one more time, and let's see backtrace. Am I doing something wrong? I really expect this code to work. Maybe I should wrap it somehow. Okay, let's see the implementation, I guess. Test group, syntax rules. Test group is a macro. Let test runner current. Test results are list, const test name, suite name. Okay, if test should execute, dynamic wind. Zero argument procedures. Out. Anytime during. I need to read more about continuations, I guess. It still doesn't explain what happens here. Test group, suite name, body. I expected to be just our test cases. With cleanup form. Hi, otters. Nice to see you here too. Do anybody know what's wrong with this code? Because it seems correct. I really expect it to be this way. Don't know. Let's maybe take a look at test groups in Guile. Test group. Inside test group you have another test group, which is okay. Here we just define another short macros with some sub-test groups, but you know, it doesn't look somehow different from what I try to achieve here. Whoa, did you see it? Yo, it is somehow related to the fact. Okay, I got why test groups doesn't work. It's not very cool how it's implemented. You know, because test begin instantiates test runner current, and test group uses test begin, but inside test group we access test runner current before test begin called. That is why it's actually somehow needed to be instantiated earlier. Okay, let's go back. We see that evaluating this code leads us to the error, and if we actually find the place where this error happens, it doesn't show it in backtrace, but it happens exactly here when we try to access and set a field value for test runner current, and we can't do it because test runner current is equal to false. If you evaluate it right now, okay, let's go back. Test runner current here, it's equal to false, so we can try to access some record fields of non-existing record. That is why we need to set test runner current somehow. Let's take a look. Here. Okay, it calls test begin, and after that it has test group, blah blah blah, test group, test end. See it? So test begin. Here we begin our journey. Let's comment it out and test and here okay, test begin, test group with one test end, good, and now it works. Let's add more tests here. Test equal, test equal, test equal. Boom. 3 test cases. Test group, new test group ends here, group ends here. Looks good. The only thing that I don't really understand why test begin actually creates our current test runner. Why it cares about it at all? I think it should be done somewhere separately from it. For example, by calling set current test runner, I don't know, okay, test runner or something. And after that, even test group should work. Why it's done inside test begin, I don't really understand. Let's try to write something which actually sets the test runner. We get the same error. Let's go back to test begin. Test begin here. Here we have this thing. Oops. And tabify. When not test runner current, let our test runner create, test runner current set to R, test runner on final set to false. Cool. We evaluated it. Let's see, test runner current exist. Cool. Now, when test runner current is actually initialized, we can rerun it multiple times and use top level test group without test begin and test end. And it seems correct behavior for me. Maybe we just need to make a function out of it, like define instantiate test runner. Boom. Instantiate test runner. Boom. Very nice. And we have everything that we need, except one thing. We have a function which can instantiate test runner for us. Now test groups works as expected. The problem still exists, and this problem is related to test begin and test end behavior. Or maybe not. We can just do something like this. Don't remove test runner. And just reset test runner. Reset current test runner current, like this. Let's try. Work nice. And we can actually evaluate as much as we want this form, and you can see that it still works. The amount of past test increases every time we reevaluate it. I don't know if it's a disable behavior here or not. I will need to think about it a little more. But now we manually manage instantiation of test runner, and this is important, and I will explain the reason right now. Or after just check for new comments. No new comments. Okay. This is important because now we can instantiate test runner by our emacs code, go through all the test cases, generate a test report, show it, and reset the test runner. And we will be able to do it for one test group, for example. So we can have a special command like, I don't know, rd run test group or test at point. Of course, it will be like this. And we can evaluate a particular test group without touching anything else, or we can RDA run model RDA tests run model tests, for example, or run project tests. We will be able to have all those functions, and test runner will be initialized only once for all those test cases, and we will be able to generate the report for the whole project. It seems correct to me. It seems to be a proper way. We create test runner ourselves, and after that launch any test we want in any order, skip anything if we really want it. Very nice, very nice. I think it is a progress in understanding of this library, so it will be easier to make use of it in RD. It's almost 2 hours. We are talking about tests and stuff, and I think it's pretty much already enough for today. A lot of information that I should process and you probably want to process. So I think it's a good idea to finish our stream and make a dinner. Let's make a small conclusion for today's stream. It's a very nice idea to automate your routine and also write tests and write tools for executing those tests. And be consistent, make your work persistent. It really helps to make a lot of value to people around you. Thank you everyone for joining the stream. I hope you enjoyed it, and see you in a bit.